She attempted to defy the human warrior, until the alien queen revealed he was her betrothed. The vast palace floated silently above the glowing blue planet. Its towers stretched like silver spears, and its lights sparkled against the darkness of space. Ships from distant star systems moved carefully around it, carrying diplomats, soldiers, and traders who had come to witness the power of the alien queen. She ruled her people with strict authority, and few dared to question her orders. Her name carried fear and respect throughout the galaxy. No one had ever disobeyed her without immediate punishment. In the central hall of the palace, the queen sat on her throne, her golden armor reflecting the lights of the massive room. Her eyes were sharp, watching every movement. Around her, her advisors and guards stood silently, their expressions serious. They had seen warriors from countless worlds, each claiming bravery, but none had surprised the queen. Today, however, a human had arrived, a being smaller and seemingly fragile compared to her soldiers. The human stepped forward with steady steps. His armor was simple, battered from travel, and his weapon was modest, but he carried himself with quiet confidence. The queen observed him carefully. Most species bowed immediately, offering loyalty or surrender. This one did not. Instead, he met her gaze directly, unafraid. "You must follow my orders," the queen said, her voice cold but commanding. "Disobedience is forbidden." "Who are you to resist me?" The human straightened, his jaw firm. "I am here to protect my people," he said. "I do not serve fear, I do not obey without reason. I came to speak for my colony and negotiate peace." The room fell silent. No human had ever dared speak like this to the alien queen. Her advisors whispered among themselves, some with worry, others with surprise. The queen tilted her head slightly, curiosity stirring in her heart. She had not expected defiance. Most species bowed before the palace gates, frightened of her reputation. "You speak boldly," she said, her tone measured. "Do you understand the dangers of standing against me? Do you know what punishment awaits?" "I understand," the human replied calmly. "I choose to face them." The queen's guards shifted nervously. Some murmured that this human would not last a day in the palace, yet she remained intrigued. There was a strange strength in him, something beyond physical power. Perhaps it was courage, or perhaps intelligence. Either way, it was unusual. She decided to test him. "You will enter the trial hall," she commanded. "Retrieve the energy core from the chamber beneath the palace. It is protected by traps and dangers. Most fail. If you succeed, you may speak further with me. If you fail, your people will know the cost of defiance." The human did not hesitate. He nodded, ready to face the challenge. His mind worked quickly as he moved toward the trial hall. The palace was vast, and the corridors twisted like a labyrinth. He noticed subtle traps, pressure plates, laser grids, and hidden alarms, but he avoided them with careful steps. He relied on observation, patience, and intuition, skills humans had honed for generations. The first trap was a floor that would collapse under too much weight. He tested it by dropping a small rock onto the tiles. It broke silently in one section, allowing him to step carefully along a safe path. Next, a corridor filled with spinning energy blades threatened to slice anyone who moved too quickly. He timed his steps, using the rhythm of the blades to his advantage. Each movement was calculated, each decision precise. As he advanced deeper, he encountered alien creatures designed to guard the core. They were taller, stronger, and faster than humans, yet they moved predictably. He used distractions and misdirection, leading them away from his path. Sometimes, he ducked behind pillars or rolled through narrow gaps, using their size against them. Each moment was tense, but he never panicked. Above him, the queen observed through cameras hidden in the walls. She leaned forward slightly, her curiosity growing. No human had ever reached this point without faltering. She had expected arrogance or fear, yet this human moved with intelligence and calm determination. There was something different about him, something that stirred both caution and admiration. Finally, he reached the chamber holding the energy core. It hovered in the center, glowing with a soft blue light. The core was protected by a final force field, one that could not be broken by strength alone. The human examined it closely. He noticed a sequence of symbols on the wall, likely a code or pattern to deactivate the field. He studied the symbols carefully, remembering patterns humans had learned to solve for survival, puzzles and traps his ancestors had faced on difficult worlds. After a moment, he traced the correct sequence, and the field dissipated with a hum. The energy core floated toward him, and he caught it carefully. The room remained silent. He had succeeded where many had failed. He held the glowing core in his hands, his face calm, yet his heart beat faster from the adrenaline. He turned to leave, retracing his steps through the corridors. He encountered fewer creatures now. Some had retreated after seeing his skill. When he finally exited the trial hall, the queen was waiting. She descended from her throne slowly, her golden armor shining. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes were fixed on him. "You have done well," she said. "No one has ever completed the trial hall on the first attempt. Tell me, human, how do you walk with such courage among creatures that would destroy others in seconds?" The human handed her the energy core. "I walk with reason," he replied, "and I walk with purpose. Fear can guide decisions, but it does not guide me. I act with thought, observation, and care." The queen studied him, her mind racing. This human was not like any other she had met. He was clever, brave, and disciplined. And there was something more, a spark she could not define, a strength that did not come from muscle or weapons. "Your people must be proud to have a warrior like you," she said, her voice softer now. "Or perhaps they do not understand your true power yet. I am beginning to see that humans are different than I believed." The human met her gaze. "We are not the strongest," he admitted. "We are not the fastest, but we survive, we think, we adapt. And we fight for what is right." The queen paused, considering his words. Few beings could speak so boldly and survive. Yet he had survived, and more than that, he had impressed her. Perhaps she had underestimated humans all along. Perhaps they were more than mere colonies to be dominated. "You have completed the trial," she said finally. "But this is only the beginning. There are challenges you do not yet see, choices that will test your loyalty, your courage, and your mind. Are you ready to continue?" The human nodded. "I am ready. Whatever comes, I will face it. My people depend on me, and I will not fail them. Or you." A faint smile touched the queen's lips. No human had ever spoken with such determination. Most would have cowered before her authority or begged for mercy. This one had walked through deadly traps, outsmarted alien creatures, and stood boldly before her. And now she was curious to see how far his courage and intelligence would take him. The palace seemed to grow quieter, as if holding its breath. Outside, the stars shone cold and distant, but inside, two beings from very different worlds stood facing each other. One ruled an empire with fear and power. The other was human, small and underestimated, yet unyielding, clever, and courageous. The queen spoke again, her voice commanding yet carrying a hint of respect. "I will watch you closely, human. You may have won the trial, but the galaxy is larger and the dangers are greater. Do not mistake my curiosity for trust. You are a stranger in my world, and I have seen how quickly strangers can fall." The human's eyes did not waver. "I understand," he said simply. "I do not expect trust, I expect to earn it." The queen nodded slowly. Her gaze lingered on him, studying every line of his face, every movement. Few had ever stood before her with such calm defiance. She wondered if this human would change the way her empire saw other species. Perhaps, she thought quietly, humanity was not as small or weak as she had always believed. For the first time, the queen felt a flicker of something new, curiosity mixed with admiration. She had underestimated humans for too long. Perhaps it was time to see what they could truly do. The human, unaware of the thoughts racing through the queen's mind, turned and began to walk back through the grand hall. Each step was careful, yet confident. He had survived the trial, he had proven his courage. And though he did not yet know it, the queen's attention, and the fate of the empire, was now tied to his actions. The stars outside the palace twinkled like distant eyes watching silently, and the first chapter of an unexpected story had begun. A story that would challenge the queen, test the human skills, and reveal the hidden strength of a species long underestimated. A story where courage, intelligence, and perseverance could change the course of worlds. And as the human passed through the palace, he could feel the weight of eyes upon him, some curious, some skeptical, and some quietly impressed. It was only the beginning. A long journey awaited, filled with trials, challenges, and revelations that would test the limits of both human and alien alike. But in that moment, he simply walked, calm and unwavering, ready for whatever the galaxy would throw at him. The queen watched him go, the spark of intrigue in her eyes growing brighter. For the first time in centuries, she wondered, could a human truly stand beside her as an equal and perhaps as something more? The human walked through the palace halls, the energy core secure in his hands. Though the trial had been difficult, his mind remained sharp. He knew that completing the first challenge was only the beginning. The alien queen's gaze followed him through hidden sensors, her curiosity deepening. Most beings would have faltered or begged for mercy by now, but this human had moved with precision, intelligence, and calm courage. She could not look away. He entered a waiting chamber where advisors and scholars had gathered. They studied the energy core with cautious awe. Many whispered that a human had never completed such a task. The core's power could stabilize planetary shields or disrupt enemy fleets. To hold it in one's hands was a mark of skill and intelligence. The human listened quietly, speaking only when necessary. Every word he spoke reflected thought and strategy, not pride or arrogance. The queen appeared, descending from her throne. Her presence alone commanded attention, yet her eyes carried a subtle warmth, a sign that she respected his achievement. "You have succeeded where many failed," she said. "Now a greater test awaits, one that will measure not only your courage but your mind and loyalty." The human bowed slightly, his expression calm. "I am ready for it," he replied. She motioned to a holographic map of the planet below. Rivers of molten metal flowed through vast forests of crystalline trees. Jagged mountains pierced the sky. At the center of the map was a glowing structure, the source of a powerful energy signature. "This is the Crystal Nexus," the queen explained. "It contains the power that maintains the stability of your human colonies, but it is guarded. Many attempts to control it have failed. You must travel there and ensure the energy remains safe. Fail and chaos will spread through your colonies." The human studied the map, tracing possible paths with his fingers. "I understand," he said. "It is dangerous, but it can be done. I will protect it." "Do you know what awaits you?" the queen asked, her eyes narrowing slightly. "I will learn as I go," he said simply. The queen's lips curved into a small, almost imperceptible smile. Few beings accepted danger without hesitation, yet he embraced it with clarity. She gestured to a nearby transporter platform. "Go now. Your journey begins immediately." He stepped onto the platform, feeling the familiar hum as space folded around him. When he arrived on the planet's surface, the air was thick with energy. Crystalline trees shimmered in colors he had never seen, reflecting light like living prisms. The ground beneath him pulsed slightly, as if the planet itself were alive. He knew that every step would be a challenge. The energy core was important, and the Nexus's defenses would not be easily overcome. His first obstacle came quickly. The ground cracked, sending geysers of energy toward him. He rolled to the side just in time, calculating the intervals between each eruption. He advanced carefully, using the terrain to shield himself. Small creatures darted from the shadows, fast, sharp, and aggressive. He did not panic. Instead, he used sticks and stones, throwing them to distract the creatures while moving safely past. Hours passed as he navigated rivers of molten metal and jagged crystal formations. Each obstacle required quick thinking. When a narrow bridge of crystal threatened to collapse under his weight, he tested it with a small rock before stepping forward. When a sudden energy storm threatened to blind him, he found shelter beneath massive crystal formations. His training, intuition, and patience guided him through each peril. Meanwhile, above him, the queen observed silently. Her advisors and guards noted her fascination, but none dared speak. The human moved with a grace that suggested not only courage, but intelligence beyond survival. She realized that humans, small and underestimated, had a capacity for innovation and strategy that rivaled even the most advanced alien minds. At midday, he encountered a guardian of the Nexus, a creature of living crystal, massive and intimidating. It blocked the only path forward. The creature's limbs shimmered with energy, and its eyes glowed with calculated awareness. Many warriors would have attacked blindly, relying on strength alone. The human did not. He analyzed the guardian's movements, noticing patterns and timing. When it struck with a heavy arm, he dodged and led it toward a narrow passage. Its size worked against it. It became trapped momentarily. Using this advantage, he moved past carefully, keeping the energy core secure. Hours turned into night, but he did not rest. The planet's surface was alive with dangers he could not ignore. Energy spikes, unstable ground, and unexpected creatures forced him to remain alert. He had faced danger before, but never so continuously. His mind, sharp and focused, kept him ahead of every threat. Finally, he approached the crystal nexus itself. It was a tower of pure energy, rising high above the surrounding landscape. Its surface shimmered with blinding light and faint vibrations pulsed through the ground. The human paused, catching his breath. He felt the weight of responsibility heavier than ever. If he failed, colonies would suffer. If he succeeded, humans would prove once more that courage and intelligence could overcome size and strength. As he stepped closer, the Nexus's defenses activated. Energy barriers formed around it, shifting constantly. Holographic symbols appeared in the air, challenging him to solve sequences that would allow access. Many would have failed here, overwhelmed by complexity and fear. The human studied the patterns calmly. He remembered lessons from his childhood on remote human colonies, learning to observe, adapt, and think under pressure. Slowly, methodically, he activated the sequences correctly, each symbol falling into place until the barriers dissolved. He stepped inside the Nexus, his eyes adjusting to the bright, pulsing light. The core of the structure was delicate yet powerful, a lattice of energy that could destabilize entire systems if mishandled. He moved carefully, adjusting his grip and balancing his steps. It was not brute force that would succeed here, but patience and precision. As he secured the central energy node, alarms blared through the Nexus. The Queen's voice echoed in his communicator, calm but firm. "Be aware, human. Rival factions have detected your presence. They will attempt to claim the Nexus. You must defend it without destroying its power." The human nodded, his mind racing. He could hear the approach of alien ships and ground forces, factions that saw humans as weak and expected an easy victory. But he was not weak. He had thought ahead, prepared traps, and understood the terrain. Using the natural formations of the planet, he set obstacles that would slow and confuse the attackers. When they arrived, they were forced to navigate a maze of crystal spires, energy bursts, and narrow paths. The first wave of enemies approached, heavily armed and confident. They assumed their size and strength would overpower him quickly. Instead, the human used their assumptions against them. He led them into energy traps he had set, forcing many to retreat or fall. When creatures of his own defense systems malfunctioned, he adapted immediately, improvising solutions that saved both himself and the energy core. Above the battlefield, the Queen watched silently. She could see the human's strategy unfold, and she was amazed. Not once did he panic, not once did he rely on brute force alone. Every decision was calculated, clever, and effective. She realized that humans were underestimated not because they lacked strength, but because they had a different kind of power, one of mind, courage, and adaptability. Hours passed, and the attackers continued their assault, growing frustrated at their failures. The human had anticipated every move, using the planet and Nexus itself as tools. Finally, after a tense confrontation, the enemy withdrew. The Nexus remained secure, the energy core intact, and the human stood vigilant, exhausted but proud. The Queen descended from her observation platform, her armor reflecting the pulsating light of the Nexus. She approached him silently, studying his expression. "You have done more than survive," she said. "You have protected what others could not, using intelligence, courage, and foresight. Your people have reason to be proud." The human bowed slightly. "I did what needed to be done. Survival is not enough if others suffer. We protect, we adapt, we endure." The Queen nodded, a rare gesture of approval in her world. "You are unlike any human I have known, and unlike any being I have met. Your courage is matched only by your mind. Perhaps it is time I reconsidered what humans are capable of." He glanced at her, sensing the respect in her tone. "We may be underestimated," he said, "but we are not weak. We survive because we think, we adapt, and we act when others hesitate." The Queen's gaze lingered on him, intrigued. Most beings relied on fear or obedience, but he had relied on thought, bravery, and skill. She realized that his defiance, far from being a challenge to her authority, was a demonstration of human potential, a potential she had never fully recognized. For a moment, the two stood silently in the Nexus, the energy core glowing between them. The human had completed a dangerous mission, outwitted advanced adversaries, and shown that humans were capable of more than size or strength could measure. The Queen, once confident in her dominance over all species, found herself wondering how she had overlooked the true power of humanity. Outside, the stars shone cold and distant, but within the Nexus, a small victory had been achieved. Not only had the energy core been secured, but the human had proven that courage, intelligence, and adaptability were weapons as strong as any blade or laser. The Queen's voice broke the silence. "Your next challenge will be greater," she said. "But for now, you have earned a moment of recognition. Few beings have ever achieved what you have today." The human nodded, feeling both the weight of responsibility and the quiet pride of success. He had faced danger, outsmarted enemies, and protected what mattered most. And though the journey was far from over, he knew that he had proven something important, not just to the Queen, but to the galaxy. The Queen's eyes followed him as he left the Nexus, her mind alive with questions. Could humans truly rise to meet challenges she had thought impossible? Could they be allies, equals, perhaps even more than she had imagined? She did not know yet, but one thing was certain. This human had caught her attention in a way no other being ever had. And the human, unaware of the full extent of her thoughts, continued his journey with quiet determination. Danger still waited, challenges still lay ahead, but he would meet them as he always had, calm, clever, and unyielding. Humanity had survived countless trials on countless worlds, and this human would ensure it survived today as well. For the first time, the Queen realized that she might have underestimated an entire species. And perhaps, she thought, that was the greatest mistake she could ever make. The human returned to the palace, the energy core secure and the Nexus safe. Though his body was tired, his mind remained sharp. The palace corridors, once intimidating, now felt like a place where every shadow and reflection demanded careful attention. The alien Queen's eyes followed him everywhere, though she did not approach immediately. She had seen his skill, his intelligence, and his courage. And now, curiosity burned in her heart. As he entered the main hall, the court fell silent. Nobles, guards, and scholars watched him with disbelief. Some whispered that a human had done the impossible. Others looked at him with fear, unsure whether his success meant danger or opportunity. The human paid little attention. His focus remained steady, always calculating, always ready. The Queen descended from her throne slowly, her golden armor glinting in the soft light. Her eyes studied him, taking in every movement, every gesture. For centuries, she had ruled her empire with unquestioned authority. No one had ever impressed her like this. Most beings submitted, but he had faced her directly and succeeded. Now, he stood before her not as a subordinate, but as someone who had proven his value. "You have done well," she said, her voice calm but carrying an undeniable weight. "You have completed every trial, yet the greatest test is not of skill or courage. It is of understanding, of loyalty, and of choice." The human bowed slightly. "I understand. I will face whatever challenge comes." She gestured toward a private chamber away from the eyes of the court. The human followed, his steps measured and quiet. Once inside, the Queen turned to face him fully, her expression unreadable. For a long moment, silence filled the room, broken only by the distant hum of the palace's energy. "You do not know why you are here," she said finally, her voice softer, almost hesitant. "You have succeeded in the trials, but there is something you must understand. Something that changes everything." The human's brow furrowed slightly. "What is it?" he asked calmly, though his heart beat faster. He had faced danger, alien creatures, and impossible puzzles. He had never been afraid of death, but now uncertainty weighed on him in a new way. The Queen took a deep breath. "You are not here only as a warrior. You are here because of a bond that was arranged long before you were born. You are my betrothed." The words hung in the air. The human froze, unsure if he had heard correctly. "Betrothed," he repeated. I do not understand." "You were chosen," the Queen explained. "Your parents' colony and my empire agreed to a union decades ago. The arrangement was made to ensure peace and cooperation. You were unaware because you were raised in secrecy, prepared for survival and leadership. But the bond exists, and now it must be acknowledged." The human's mind raced. He had trained, traveled, and fought for his people, never imagining that political agreements from before his birth would affect him. Yet the Queen's gaze was steady, her authority undeniable. This was not a test or a trap, it was truth. I was not aware," he said finally. "I did not choose this. How can I accept something I did not know existed?" "Choice is yours," the Queen said firmly. "You may reject the bond, but understand this. It affects more than you. It affects entire colonies, your people, and the balance of power in this galaxy. Your decision will have consequences." The human paused, thinking carefully. He had faced countless challenges, always acting to protect others. This was different. It was not a trial of skill or courage, but of responsibility, understanding, and morality. He had always acted for the greater good, and now he faced a decision that could change the fate of many. "I will not make a decision lightly," he said. "I need to understand what this means for everyone involved, for my people, for your empire, and for the future." The queen studied him, her expression softening slightly. Few had ever spoken with such thoughtfulness and honesty. Most would have reacted with fear, pride, or defiance. This human considered others before himself. That alone set him apart. "You will have time," she said finally. "But the court is restless. Some see you as a threat. Others see an opportunity. You must navigate their expectations as carefully as you navigated the trials. And you must earn the trust of those who doubt you." The human nodded. "I will do my best. My loyalty is to those I protect, and my duty is to ensure peace and survival." The queen inclined her head slightly. "Then we begin." She summoned her advisors and guards, forming a circle around them. She spoke quietly, outlining the political divisions within her court. Some noble factions opposed the union with humans, seeing it as weakness. Others supported it, hoping to gain favor or influence. Conflict was inevitable unless the human proved his worth beyond the trials. The human listened, absorbing every detail. He understood immediately that this was another kind of challenge, one that required diplomacy, intelligence, and strategic thinking rather than brute force. He would have to convince the court, earn respect, and show that humans were capable of leadership and alliance. The first meeting with the council was tense. Noble aliens, tall and imposing, spoke with sharp tones and cutting words. They questioned his authority, mocked his species, and doubted his abilities. Yet he remained calm, responding with logic, reasoning, and clear evidence from his trials. He explained how he had secured the Nexus and protected the energy core, demonstrating human ingenuity and courage. Some council members scoffed, insisting that the victories were luck or accident. Others leaned forward, intrigued by his explanations. The human did not argue with pride or emotion. He simply presented facts, showing how humans could think creatively under pressure and act decisively when required. The queen observed quietly. She had expected resistance, but she did not expect the human to handle it with such composure. Even the most intelligent alien diplomats were often blinded by ego or fear. He had neither. His strength was in his mind, his courage, and his ability to act for the greater good. As the council debated, the human noticed subtle alliances forming and dissolving. He began to maneuver carefully, speaking to those who seemed open to reason, addressing their concerns without belittling them. Slowly, he gained ground. By the end of the meeting, the court was divided, but not against him. Some saw him as a serious contender for influence, others as a surprising ally. The seeds of respect were planted. Afterward, the queen spoke privately to him. "You have done well," she said. "Not only have you survived the trials, but you have begun to earn trust among those who doubted you. Humans are more capable than I imagined." The human bowed. "I only do what must be done. Trust is earned, not given, and I will continue to act with honor and reason." The queen studied him, her gaze lingering. She felt a strange mixture of admiration and curiosity. For centuries, she had ruled alone, relying on fear and power to maintain control. This human, small and seemingly fragile, had shown her a different kind of strength, one built on courage, intelligence, and moral clarity. The following days were filled with new challenges. The council continued to test him with political maneuvers, subtle traps, and questions meant to expose weakness. The human met each challenge with patience, observation, and strategy. He did not act rashly or allow emotion to cloud judgment. His focus remained on protecting the Nexus, ensuring peace, and demonstrating the value of humanity. During one encounter, a rival noble attempted to manipulate the queen by presenting false reports of human aggression. The human reviewed the data, cross-checked reports, and identified the deception. When he presented the evidence, the council was forced to acknowledge his findings. The rival's credibility faltered, and the human gained further respect. The queen watched, quietly impressed. No one had ever challenged her authority so thoroughly while maintaining integrity. Most beings relied on fear, deception, or submission. He relied on reason, courage, and honor. It was a lesson she had never expected to learn from a human. One evening, as the palace lights glimmered against the darkness of space, the queen summoned him to her private chamber. She approached slowly, her golden armor catching the glow of distant stars. "You have impressed me," she said. Not only with your courage and skill, but with your mind and your principles. I underestimated your species." The human looked at her, calm but alert. "I do not seek to impress. I seek to protect and serve those who depend on me. If that earns respect, it is not for me, but for my people." The queen nodded, a rare smile touching her lips. "Perhaps humanity is not as small or weak as I believed. Perhaps you will change the way my empire sees your people." The human's eyes remained steady. "We do not seek power for its own sake. We seek survival, understanding, and progress. If others learn from our example, that is a reward beyond measure." The queen studied him for a long moment. She realized that this human had not only survived impossible trials, but had also begun to alter perceptions in her empire. His courage, intelligence, and sense of duty made him more than a warrior. He was a symbol of what humanity could achieve. For the first time, she felt a flicker of respect mixed with something more, an acknowledgement that humans, often underestimated, could stand as equals in a galaxy that had long dismissed them. The trials had tested his body, his courage, and his mind. Now they were testing the hearts and judgments of those who observed him, and the human had passed with honor. And as he left her chamber, calm and resolute, the queen knew that the revelation of his betrothal was only the beginning. The human had proven himself in battle, in intellect, and in diplomacy. What remained was a journey of understanding, trust, and choices that could alter the course of both human colonies and her empire forever. The stars beyond the palace shimmered silently, watching over the unfolding story. And the human, unaware of the full weight of his destiny, walked forward with steady steps, ready to face whatever trials awaited next, proving that courage, intelligence, and honor were weapons as powerful as any empire could muster. The human stood on the balcony of the palace, looking out at the glittering city below. The alien sun had set, leaving the sky a deep purple, dotted with stars. He could hear the hum of the palace energy, the distant chatter of guards, and the soft steps of the queen approaching behind him. He did not need to turn. He already sensed her presence. "You have done well," the queen said quietly, her voice carrying a mix of admiration and concern. "Your victories in the trials have shifted opinions among the court. Some now see you as a symbol of strength and reason, but others see you as a threat. They will act to challenge you." The human nodded. "I expected no less," he said. "If I am to protect my people and ensure peace, I cannot rely solely on courage or skill. I must anticipate danger, plan ahead, and act quickly when needed." The queen studied him, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Do you understand what is coming?" "I do not know all the details," he admitted, "but I know it will not be easy, and I know that I must face it." Her expression softened. "You are unlike any being I have ever met. Most rely on strength or fear. You rely on thought and strategy. That is what makes you dangerous and impressive." Days passed, and the human continued to navigate the political challenges of the court. Some nobles attempted to spread false rumors about him, claiming that he sought to seize power or manipulate the queen. Others tried to challenge his authority openly, underestimating his intelligence and experience. Each time he responded with calm logic, evidence, and reasoning. He never lashed out or acted rashly. His presence alone commanded attention, not because of fear, but because of respect he earned through action. Then came the message. A rogue faction from a distant star system had mobilized ships toward the human colonies. They had learned of the Nexus and believed it could be captured to control human resources. The queen received the news with immediate concern. This faction was powerful and aggressive, capable of destroying entire fleets with little effort. The human, however, did not falter. "I will defend them," he said quietly. "If they attack, they will see that humans are not easy to defeat." The queen watched him, impressed by his resolve. "You are calm in the face of danger. Most beings would panic, but you assess and act. That is why I must see how far you can go." The human quickly devised a plan. He studied the star maps, observing the incoming fleet, their routes, and their weaknesses. Using the technology of the palace and his own ingenuity, he created decoys and traps designed to confuse the enemy. He set small energy nodes along asteroid belts and in orbit to mislead sensors and disrupt navigation. Every step was calculated, every move designed to give him an advantage. When the fleet arrived, they were confident. They had expected a simple human colony, weak and unprepared. Instead, they encountered obstacles at every turn. Energy nodes misdirected them, sensors detected phantom ships, and hidden patrols ambushed their smaller vessels. The humans' strategy slowed them, forcing them to adapt constantly. The Queen watched from her command platform, her eyes fixed on the battle. She could see the ingenuity of humans unfolding before her. They were small and underestimated, yet capable of complex strategy, adaptation, and resourcefulness. The human did not simply fight. He outthought the enemy, turning their strength into weakness. Despite the advantage, the rogue faction was relentless. They regrouped, bringing larger ships forward and attempting a direct assault. The human anticipated this, guiding the defending forces through narrow asteroid corridors where larger ships could not maneuver. Energy shields were deployed at precise moments, and enemy fire was redirected using deflected laser paths he had calculated in advance. Every move was deliberate, every action purposeful. In the midst of the battle, he noticed an elite squadron attempting to infiltrate the palace itself. They moved swiftly, relying on speed and numbers. The human acted immediately, setting traps in corridors and using automated defenses to delay them. When they reached critical choke points, he engaged directly, using agility and precise strikes to disable the squadron without unnecessary violence. Each victory was earned through thought and skill, not brute force alone. The Queen observed silently, her admiration growing. No one had ever faced her empire's threats with such clarity, patience, and intelligence. Other species relied on size, power, or weapons. Humans relied on mind, courage, and adaptability. The human's actions demonstrated a truth she had not fully realized. Humanity was underestimated not because it lacked power, but because it had a different kind of strength. As the battle raged, the human coordinated with the palace defenses. Alien ships loyal to the Queen moved alongside human ingenuity, creating a combined force that was unpredictable and highly effective. They repelled wave after wave of attackers, each one retreating or being neutralized through careful planning. The rogue faction, frustrated by repeated failure, began to withdraw. Their confidence shaken, they realized they had underestimated humans and the coordination he could achieve. When the final ships fled, silence returned. The stars outside the palace shimmered, reflecting on the exhausted but triumphant faces of defenders. The human stood in the command chamber, surveying the battlefield. His mind remained alert, already planning contingencies and considering future threats. Though victorious, he knew the galaxy was vast and dangers never ceased. The Queen approached him, her golden armor gleaming against the lights of the control room. She studied his face, her eyes reflecting both admiration and curiosity. "You have done more than protect your people," she said softly. "You have shown that humans are capable of strategy, courage, and leadership in ways I did not anticipate." The human bowed slightly. "I only do what must be done," he replied. "The galaxy is full of challenges, and we face them because we must. Survival and protection are not acts of pride, they are acts of responsibility." The Queen's gaze lingered on him, her thoughts turning inward. She had always relied on fear, influence, and strength to maintain order. This human had relied on intellect, courage, and integrity. He had outmaneuvered an entire fleet, defended vital resources, and earned respect without seeking it. She realized that humans could be allies, equals, and perhaps even more than she had imagined. In the days that followed, the court of the Queen shifted. Nobles who had doubted him now observed cautiously, unsure whether to oppose or ally with the human. Those who had been neutral moved closer, seeing opportunity in his skill and strategy. Even the Queen's advisors, some of whom had resisted acknowledging human capability, began to respect the intelligence, patience, and courage he displayed. The human, however, remained focused on the greater goal. He knew that victory in one battle did not guarantee lasting peace. The rogue faction would recover, and other enemies would test the boundaries of human strength and strategy. He continued to work tirelessly, training forces, improving defenses, and preparing contingencies. Each day was a test, not just of courage, but of persistence, intelligence, and adaptability. The Queen, observing him, felt a strange mixture of respect, admiration, and curiosity. Few beings had ever changed her perception so quickly. The human had proven that strength was not always measured in size or power. It was measured in courage, intelligence, and the ability to act decisively in critical moments. One evening, as the stars sparkled beyond the palace windows, the queen approached the human again. "I have underestimated your species for too long," she said softly. "You have shown that humans are clever, brave, and capable of leadership. I cannot deny it any longer." The human remained calm, listening. "I do not seek recognition," he replied. "I act because it is necessary. If others see our strength, it is a byproduct of survival and responsibility, not a goal in itself." The queen nodded, a rare smile forming on her lips. "Perhaps it is time I see humans differently," she said. "Not as weak beings, but as allies, equals, and maybe something more." The human looked at her, curiosity in his eyes. "We must earn trust through action," he said. "Respect is not given, it is proven." She studied him in silence. Her empire had faced countless wars, alliances, and betrayals, yet here stood a human, small and underestimated, who had accomplished what many others could not. He had protected his people, defended vital resources, and demonstrated intelligence and courage beyond expectation. For the first time, the queen wondered what humanity could truly achieve. If one human could accomplish so much through thought, courage, and strategy, what could an entire species do? Her empire had dismissed humans for too long, and now she realized the mistake. Outside, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the struggles and victories below. But within the palace, the future of humans, the queen, and the galaxy itself was changing. The human had proven that size and strength were not everything. Courage, intelligence, adaptability, and moral clarity were equally powerful weapons. And as he prepared for the next challenge, ready to face new dangers and uncertainties, the queen watched silently. She knew that the journey was far from over. Other threats would come, and the galaxy was vast and unpredictable. But for the first time, she understood that humans were not merely survivors. They were capable of shaping the future, earning respect, and redefining what strength truly meant. The human walked through the palace, calm and determined, his mind already planning for future threats. He had proven himself in battle, strategy, and diplomacy. He had earned the respect of a queen and the attention of an empire. And though the challenges ahead would test him in ways he had not yet imagined, he would meet them as he always had, with intelligence, courage, and unwavering determination. The stars outside reflected his resolve, distant and unchanging, yet filled with infinite possibilities. And within the palace, the queen realized that she had underestimated humanity for too long. One human had changed her perception, and perhaps, she thought quietly, one human could change the galaxy. The galaxy had grown tense. News of the human warriors' victories and the defense of the Nexus had spread quickly, stirring both admiration and fear across multiple star systems. Rival factions, jealous of the human skill and concerned about the Queen's favor, were plotting new attacks. Some sought to undermine the palace from within, while others prepared fleets to strike human colonies directly. It was a time of danger, but also a time of opportunity, where one decisive action could change everything. The human stood on the palace balcony again, looking at the stars. His mind was calm but focused, analyzing every threat, every possible move. The queen approached silently, her golden armor catching the glow of the setting sun on the planet below. Her eyes reflected a mix of concern and admiration. "They will not stop," she said quietly. "The factions see your successes as a challenge to their power. They will act soon." "I am ready," the human replied. "I have prepared defenses, coordinated allies, and planned contingencies. We cannot allow fear to guide our actions. We must act decisively and wisely." The queen studied him for a moment. Few beings had ever faced such overwhelming odds and remained so steady. Most would panic, rely on power alone, or falter in hesitation. He relied on thought, courage, and skill. "Perhaps humans are stronger than I thought," she said softly. "Not just in battle, but in heart and mind." A warning signal echoed through the palace. The rogue factions had moved faster than expected, sending fleets to the human colonies as a distraction while another strike team infiltrated the palace. The human immediately sprang into action, coordinating defenses with the Queen's elite forces. He assigned squads to protect key corridors, used energy barriers strategically, and positioned decoys to mislead intruders. Every move was precise, anticipating the enemy's most likely strategies. The palace alarms blared as intruders breached the outer defenses. The human led a team of guards through narrow corridors, using tactics that leveraged his smaller size and agility. He guided the defenders through traps and defensive systems, neutralizing the invaders without unnecessary destruction. The queen observed quietly from her command center, impressed by his efficiency and calm demeanor. Meanwhile, outside the palace, the fleets approaching the human colonies were met with unexpected resistance. The human had anticipated their approach, creating ambush points using asteroid fields, hidden energy nodes, and coordinated attacks from allied ships. The enemy, confident in their strength, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. Their numbers could not overcome the combination of strategy, preparation, and quick adaptation. Inside the palace, the intruders had reached the central chamber, where the queen and human were coordinating defense. The human confronted them directly, using clever traps and the palace architecture to his advantage. His movements were fluid and precise, dodging attacks and leading enemies into areas where they could be contained. He was outnumbered, but every step he took turned the odds in his favor. The queen moved closer, observing his tactics. She realized that this human was more than a warrior. He was a strategist, a leader, and a symbol of humanity's resilience. His courage inspired her own forces, and even the hesitant nobles began to rally, seeing the human's effectiveness. He had earned their trust not by authority, but by skill and integrity. The battle raged, but the human remained focused. He anticipated enemy maneuvers, adjusted defenses in real time, and used both human ingenuity and alien technology to maximum effect. The intruders, frustrated and disorganized, began to falter. One by one, they were captured, disabled, or forced to retreat. The human's calm precision had turned a dangerous situation into a decisive victory. Outside, the fleets attempting to strike the colonies were finally repelled. The humans' planning had predicted every move, and Allied forces executed coordinated attacks that forced the enemy to withdraw entirely. Entire systems witnessed the effectiveness of human strategy and courage, challenging the old belief that humans were small and weak. With the immediate threat over, the palace settled into a tense calm. The queen approached the human, her gaze both proud and reflective. "You have done what few could imagine," she said. "Not only have you defended your people and my empire, but you have shown that humans are capable of leadership, strategy, and courage beyond expectation." The human nodded. "I acted not for recognition or power, but because it was necessary. We survive by thinking, adapting, and protecting those who rely on us. That is our strength." The queen considered his words carefully. She had ruled with fear, authority, and power for centuries. She had underestimated humans, believing them small and weak. Now she saw the truth. Humans had strength of mind and spirit that could rival any species in the galaxy. She realized that this human, in particular, was extraordinary. He had not only protected his people, but had influenced the entire empire through courage, intelligence, and integrity. As the palace recovered, nobles and advisors gathered. Many had once doubted the human, viewing him as a threat or a curiosity. Now they looked at him with respect. Some nodded in acknowledgement, others whispered their approval. The human had earned their trust through action, not words, and that trust was more powerful than any command or decree. The queen called the human to the central chamber. She stood before him, her golden armor gleaming, and spoke with sincerity. "You have proven yourself in battle, in strategy, and in judgment. You have defended your people and my empire, earning respect from allies and former enemies alike. I see now that humans are more than I imagined. You have earned not only my respect, but my trust." The human bowed slightly. "Trust is earned, and I will continue to prove myself. My duty is to protect, and I will act as long as I am needed." The queen nodded, a rare smile touching her lips. "Then let us speak of the bond I revealed to you. You are my betrothed, as arranged long ago. This is not merely a political alliance, but a connection that ensures peace and cooperation between our peoples. You have now proven that you are worthy not only in battle, but in character. Will you accept this responsibility?" The human looked at her steadily. He had faced impossible challenges, survived deadly trials, and protected countless lives. He had learned the value of thought, courage, and careful action. Now he faced a choice that could unite two civilizations. "I accept," he said finally, "not out of obligation, but because I understand the responsibility it carries. I will act to protect both our peoples and to ensure peace, as I have done before." The queen's eyes softened, and she extended her hand. "Then we move forward together as allies and as something more." Your courage and intelligence have shown me what humanity is capable of, and I will honor your commitment with trust and respect." The human took her hand, not as a gesture of subordination, but as a symbol of partnership. Together, they looked out across the galaxy, aware of the challenges ahead but confident in their combined strength. They had faced enemies, trials, and doubt, and emerged stronger, united by courage, intelligence, and shared purpose. Across the Empire and the human colonies, news of their victory spread. The people celebrated not only survival but recognition of humanity's ingenuity and strength. Tales of the human warrior's strategy, courage, and determination inspired admiration and hope. Even former skeptics began to acknowledge that humans were not weak, but formidable allies and leaders. The rogue factions, humbled by their defeat, reconsidered their perception of humans. They had believed the species small, fragile, and unworthy of attention. Now they saw that humans could think, adapt, and lead with courage that matched even the most advanced civilizations. The galaxy would no longer underestimate humanity. Within the palace, the human and the queen worked together to strengthen alliances, ensure stability, and prepare for future threats. Their combined leadership created a new era of cooperation between humans and the alien empire. Together, they showed that courage, intelligence, and integrity were powerful weapons, capable of shaping the fate of worlds. As weeks passed, the human reflected on all he had faced. He had navigated deadly trials, defended vital resources, and overcome both political and military threats. Each challenge had tested his mind, body, and spirit, and he had emerged stronger. The Queen's recognition and trust affirmed what he had always believed. Humans could achieve greatness not through size or force alone, but through courage, intelligence, and determination. The Queen, too, reflected on the events. For centuries, she had ruled through power and fear, underestimating those she considered small or weak. The human had challenged her assumptions, proven his worth, and inspired her to reconsider what strength truly meant. Together, they had not only defended their peoples, but also reshaped perceptions across the galaxy. In the quiet moments of the night, the human and the queen stood side by side, looking out at the stars. They had faced danger, outwitted enemies, and forged trust between their species. They knew that challenges would continue, but they also knew that together they could meet anything. Humanity had proven its value, not just in survival, but in courage, intelligence, and leadership. The queen spoke softly. "I see now that humans are more than I imagined. They are clever, brave, and capable of shaping the galaxy. You have proven that one human can change the course of many." The human nodded. "We do what we must, and we act for others. Strength is measured not only in force, but in courage, intelligence, and persistence. That is how we endure, and that is how we succeed." The stars shimmered silently above, witnesses to the trials, victories, and bonds formed below. The human had proven his worth, humanity had earned recognition, and the galaxy had seen that small beings with courage and intelligence could change the fate of worlds. Together, the human warrior and the alien queen had forged a partnership built on respect, trust, and shared purpose. The empire and the human colonies were united in strength and strategy, prepared for future challenges, and inspired by the courage of one remarkable human. And as the galaxy continued to turn, the story of courage, intelligence, and perseverance endured. Humanity had proven that it was not to be underestimated, and the human warrior had shown that even the smallest beings, when guided by mind, heart, and courage, could shape the destiny of stars.